I'm great, guys. How are we doing?
We're doing awesome, Courtney, because the Bears got to 4-2, but there are things that have to be cleaned up. I do not believe 4 takeaways per game is sustainable. I do believe the run game is sustainable. Where are you after yesterday's game, the good and the bad?
Doesn't this feel like teams of old? Like where the quarterback plays shaky and you lean on a really good defense and a strong ground game. Like this feels like every other Bears team from my lifetime. Like that was my biggest takeaway leaving Soldier Field, that they got to 4-0. It's impressive after an 0-2 start, especially the way they played on defense in that Week 2 game in Detroit. To be able to not have anything close to that since then, I think is a really good sign. But I can understand why Bears fans today have questions about the quarterback play based on what happened yesterday, but really what's happened in 2 very tight games that come down to the final play in Vegas and in Washington, and not having seen Caleb Williams deliver on that promise of being a number 1 overall pick in totality. Have there been good moments? Yes. But even yesterday, there were times where you're like, is he reverting back to form with some bad habits on things? And that's kind of how I view it, because obviously fans are happy that they won, as they should be. 4-2 is a great place to be, and it's a much different 4-2 than it was a year ago. But I still think there's a lot of questions here, and you're hearing Ben Johnson say the exact same thing every single time he's up there, that the penalties have to stop, and he thought that by week 7 that they would not have these issues, and that they're still not putting it together completely with the offense being able to complement the amount of takeaways defense has given them.
Courtney, did you find it curious that Caleb Williams did not run with the football in this game against this Saints defense? I brought this up to Kap earlier. It's like, one of the weapons for Caleb is to not just be elusive, but also have some running plays for him. I didn't see that in this game. Wonder why.
No, and it's a good point, because that's what they said. They don't want to obviously lean on that. It could never look like it did against Minnesota and be sustainable. They don't want that. And maybe it was a byproduct of Swift and Monungai giving them a nice 1-2 punch where they didn't feel they needed to lean on the quarterback's scrambling ability. But those should be the plays where, when he talked about getting the second play, and I know last week he said he was missing guys on the run, and he felt like that was an area where he's kind of miffed by that, because that's been a strength of his game for a long time, that he would at least be able to, when he gets outside of the pocket and he can break contain, if it's not there downfield, go ahead and run. There were a couple instances where I'm watching him, and I'm like, why aren't you just taking off here? It looks like you're waiting for the hero play a little bit too much, for the big play, instead of taking off and using your legs. That was, and I'm just starting my rewatch this morning. I know that there were a couple instances of that where, watching it live, I was like, Caleb, you have legs. You can run. And that's a weapon. Ben Johnson has talked about that. That is a weapon that they can choose to use in a judicious way, but certainly last night or yesterday afternoon they chose not to, and I think that was a little bit to their detriment on offense.
I've been watching the All-22. I have it up here. I was showing Hoodie some of the plays. The pick that Caleb threw on the deep left sideline to Rome, he's got a probably 8 to 10 yards shallower shot on the same side of the field, which is the only side of the field, by the way, that he looked at on that play. He has, I think it's Colston Loveland right on the sideline. But if you go to the other side of the field, he's got a check down, I think, to DeAndre Swift, and then he's got 25 to 30 yards down the field. DJ Moore is open from me to Wilmette. I mean, he never went through his progressions. That one concerned me more.
So this to me, when he threw that ball, because he floated it was a terrible ball. I don't know if it was the frustration of the offensive pass interference from the play before that was flagged on Loveland, which we all have eyes. We all saw it. It was not OPI. And now it's 2 weeks in a row where Loveland's got these flags. You're like, what the heck? What are the refs seeing with that? And I'm not somebody who's going to openly criticize the refs just to do it. But that one was blatantly bad.
Terrible.
That one was bad. And I wonder, I feel like there have been a couple other instances where Caleb has kind of had those screw it type throws. Maybe it's out of frustration. Maybe it's trying to force something. That was forcing something right there to Rome. And, he and Rome for the last 2 weeks, I know last week they had the touchdown that got called back, but something with their connection, I don't know if he's just trying to get it back on track, and he felt that he had an opportunity there on the throw towards the sideline. But you're right. I mean, he could have thrown it. Swift was open around the 45-yard line. You had, or rather, DJ, was open about the 50-yard line. That's the one that you said was kind of baffling to you. I mean, he had Monungai in the flat. I would have even been okay had he taken if he believed that he could have gotten Zacchaeus on the deep ball to give him a shot, and Loveland was open on the other side on the screen. Like, there were other options. You're right. And that one is those are the type of throws that fans, I think, look at and say, are you still not seeing the field clearly enough or quickly enough that you would have made a different decision next time?
Courtney, it just seems like this game against the Saints was deeply personal for Dennis Allen. We heard him in the locker room afterwards talking about, he's happy to be with the Bears. He's not with the team that didn't want him anymore with the Saints. But he and his defense have just been incredible. And you're looking to be able to have balance on both sides of the football. But defensively, the Bears are getting after it. It's a far cry from the 0-2 and then the 4-2 based on how they've been playing defensively.
Yeah, and I know we all look at the 4 takeaways, and it's a great story that Al Harris gets up there every week and says, we want 4. And they delivered 4 against the Cowboys, 4 against the Raiders, and 4 yesterday. And they had 3 6 days ago or 7 days ago now. But, so much of that starts with what they're doing up front, and I thought they were so much more aggressive yesterday. There were times that they caught Spencer Rattler. I was told from I was listening to press conferences last week, and one of these beat writers for the Saints, no one I know, but somebody had the audacity to ask Spencer Rattler, wow, you must have this God-given innate ability to feel pressure. How do you do that? And then it's meet Jaquan Brisker, meet Kyler Gordon. He didn't even, he had no clue. They were coming off the same edge within a quick couple of moments of each other on those I don't know, it wasn't back to back, but within the same defensive series, the sacks that he took, that was what we had been waiting on. The blitz from the corner blitz to having Jaquan Brisker playing up in the box, being able to, be part of that pass rush game plan. I thought that Dennis Allen saved all of that for yesterday, because we had seen it in spurts at times, but I didn't feel like the blitz was as aggressive as maybe you would have thought just based on his history as a defensive play caller in previous games. But they threw the bag at him yesterday. And, I think it's rattling a young quarterback that, remember, he was with him last year. He knows what type of quarterback Spencer Rattler is and how best to get at him. I think that's what Bears fans were wondering in week 3. Was Matt Eberflus going to be able to do the same to Caleb Williams because he had been with him for a year? Dennis Allen clearly had a much better game plan for his former quarterback. And I looked at that and thought, that's, when Ben Johnson calls Dennis Allen a godsend last week, and he's like, it's not just because of, him coordinating the defense and he's helping me out, learning how to do this the first time. That's somebody who could come up with a game plan for a must-win game for a lot of different reasons, for pride, for ego, for all of the personal things, but also to get this team to 4-2. That's money well spent on a coach that delivered. And I thought that was a really cool moment post game where you could tell how much the players respect him when he was given that game ball, just by how they reacted to Ben Johnson giving him that.
We'll have more with Courtney Cronin. Bears win 26-14. Next up, a trip to Ravenland. Be right back. Courtney, the Saints were in nickel defense an overwhelming number of their plays yesterday, evidence that they respect the Bears' ability to throw the football. Do you think that is a tip of the cap in Caleb's favor? A. B. How would you attribute the weather conditions yesterday, especially first half, to affecting the Bears' ability to throw the football?
Yeah, so I don't know. The weather wasn't that bad. It cleared up by game time. It was windy early on. That was probably the only weather factor.
I saw you on SportsCenter, and it was coming down behind you, and you're like, "Yeah, I'm gonna have to tell my stylist to get something done next time."
Yeah, that was miserable because that was 9 o'clock in the morning, though. That was not noon.
Yep.
So thankfully, I think for every fan that was there, they didn't have to sit through that, and for the team to not have to play through that certainly people love a weather game, but do they really love a weather game? Like, the Bears have just done that 6 days before. Did it affect all right, first off, is it more of a sign of respect to Caleb or Ben Johnson? Probably Ben, just because, like, we know, and I think everybody knows, including opposing coaches, that he can dial up a lot of creative things. Mm-hmm. I mean, you had DeAndre Swift out on the wheel route. You had them using the tight ends yesterday, or at least attempting to, more than they had in previous weeks. So to have an extra DB on the field to prepare for that, and maybe thinking that the run game wouldn't travel again and put up 222 yards yesterday, probably a little bit more of that than we really respect Caleb Williams. We think that he's putting it together completely. I mean, he's still a young quarterback, and I don't think he's shown enough to make a defensive coordinator think outside. I mean, he's very talented. He can hurt you a lot of ways, but to think, oh, man, they're just going to throw the ball 45, 50 times, I don't think it was that. But in the first half, the weather, I mean, there's the quarterback-center exchange that's not weather-related. Drew Dahlman told me yesterday that's something that's more a technique issue on his part. I don't know if the weather really had that much of an impact on the passing game. I think that there were times where Caleb's just not seeing guys open downfield, and I think he was forcing things a little bit and holding on to the ball too long, more than anything like weather-related. But early it was bad. Early I was thinking it was going to really affect the conditions were really going to affect the game, and didn't affect the kicking game, and really didn't have much effect at all in the second half.
Courtney, coming into the season, we talked a lot about accountability and leadership that the Bears were bereft of last season. I wonder how clearly defined is the leadership now, especially with the winning streak. And are there certain players that stand out that you feel like, okay, they are leading the team outside the coaching staff?
So it was interesting yesterday because I saw Theo Benedette, and I went up to talk to him, and he looked perturbed, like, at himself. And, like, he was great, stood up, talked to us for a little bit, and he kept, talking about how great the run game was, to see it come alive again, but also kept pointing to, I'm not playing winning football, because he got flagged twice, and he was flagged in Washington for the illegal formation that wiped off the touchdown, and he's frustrated with himself, and he's owning it. Same thing with Drew Dahlman. He was frustrated with himself with the 2 snaps yesterday, and then there was the botched exchange that he and Caleb had in Washington. Like, another guy who was very upfront about it, no excuses, wasn't going to tell you exactly what it was. It's a cadence issue, but I appreciated that they were so forthcoming about it and willing to say, yeah, those things, the penalties, the botched snaps, those are on them. And it is concerning that 7 weeks in you have some things that haven't been cleaned up yet, stuff that was showing up during training camp, but I think you can appreciate beyond the coaching staff that feeling of accountability with certain players really shining through even after a win where they could have just bottled it up and say, hey, we won the game, we're moving on. I thought that was impressive.
So looking ahead to this week, real quick, is Lamar going to play? I'm hearing it's up in the air, maybe. What do you think?
Well, John Harbaugh said last week, the game that I was doing there, Rams-Ravens, that he was going to be back for Week 8. So I guess we'll see. I think it's a favorable stretch for the Bears. And I wrote that yesterday on social media after the game, and there were a lot of people like, yeah, but Lamar. Well, but have you seen this team's defense? The Ravens don't have a very good defense right now. Number 1, they're injured. Number 2, they're not good. So that's no excuse just because Lamar Jackson's playing. That, there is a defense that you have to account for on the other side that I think they could really take advantage of right now. So, Lamar or not, this is an opportunity for the Bears to extend this win streak, to show you can go into another place where you're not supposed to win on the road, just like they weren't supposed to in the eyes of Vegas and other people in Washington, and you come away with a win. I think it's a really good opportunity, another measuring stick sort of game, not just quarterback versus quarterback, because that's not fair. Lamar has been a unanimous MVP. He's at a much different stage of his career than Caleb, but you can get a jump on these guys. Like I saw the Rams do it. There's no reason that the Bears shouldn't be able to.
As always, Courtney, we appreciate the time. Thanks for coming on the show.